Never trip about a clone, cause they know what's a sheep to a goat. Yeah. Welcome to the main event. Applying pressure, but I promise I ain't making dent. In their heads, living free, I ain't paying rent. Wake up in the AM, making G's like Mercedes-Benz.
All right. Welcome. This is episode 5. I think it's 5. And today we have a very special guest. This is our first ever big leaguer on the show, Mr. Brock Vradenburg himself. I've been coaching Brock for quite a while now. Haven't seen him in a few years, but he's back and he's in. Brock, why don't you give a little introduction?
Hi, my name is Brock. Brock Vradenburg. I'm from Pasadena, California, and then I went to a small Christian high school called Maranatha High School, and then went to Michigan State University. Got drafted my junior year out of Michigan State, and now I'm in the minor league system of the Miami Marlins.
So, Brock, you've been doing it for quite a while now. You've had a very interesting career, as much as anybody else has. You're the first guy I ever coached that made it to the big leagues, which was pretty dang cool to see. Um, we just, before we actually started recording, we just were talking about the culture of travel ball in the United States. And a lot of people are going to watch this and they might be like, oh, I got to be on the number one team. I got to be on Canes National. I got to be on whatever top national team to go to these tournaments and win a ring for coming in fourth place. Um, Coming from someone that's played at a Power Five school and then been in the pros, how do you feel about travel ball, youth travel ball nowadays?
I can't really, I mean, nowadays it's a lot of it's just social media and all these different scout teams, which is, I guess, that's the new thing because there was probably two scout teams, at least coming out of California. There was, uh, actually, I can't even name the scout teams, but there's two of them that were like that had major league names. But those guys, that was like the cream of the crop guys. It was like those were guys were getting invited out and flown out to go play in these tournaments. I think it's different than when I played travel ball growing up, to where, like we were saying earlier, was like we just wanted to get into the tournaments and just play because the mindset around my club team was we didn't really have to. It was all trying to get guys to go to college and play in college. It wasn't trying to be on the best team or I think we all had the same mindset of just going to these tournaments, try to win them, like obviously, but also try to get recruited instead of trying to be on the team that's going to win, but you're not going to play on. So it's a lot different now where everybody's like Phillies, Padres, all these like Mets, all these guys have scout teams, but it didn't really matter to me to be on one of those because one, I wasn't that dude in high school, probably until my junior, senior year. I had talent, but like I wasn't committed to college my freshman or sophomore years, and that's kind of the majority of those guys that were on these scout teams and playing on these high level teams. Um, so I needed to get my foot in the door. So my approach was, if they're going to be playing in this tournament, I just need to be on a team that's going to play these kind of teams in that tournament because college scouts are going to be college coaches are going to be out watching these games. So it's not like they're only there to watch those people play because half of those guys are probably committed anyway. So I just wanted to get there and get my foot in the door and get noticed by playing against those teams. Like it doesn't, I mean, if you can play, you can play, and coaches can see that. And I don't think you need to be on the best team in the nation to get recruited. I think that's kind of a waste of money, in my opinion. You just got to get your foot in the door in those tournaments and play against those teams. And if you're playing well enough, college coaches are going to recognize that. And I think that's pretty important instead of trying to I want to be on this team, but in reality, are you going to play? Instead of,
Right.
I'm going to play every game in this tournament with the team that's not as good, but I'm playing every game instead of I'm probably playing 3 games out of this tournament and then not really showing my whole skill set out.
Right. So at the end of the day, um, what you're saying is if you would have posted more social media clips in high school of you winning these tournaments, do you think it would have changed the trajectory of college or pros for you?
No, I to keep it short, no, I don't think so at all. I think first and foremost, I don't want to sound rude or anything, but I don't think college coaches really care if you're winning tournaments. I think
Right.
they only care about you, especially you as a person and also you in school. They don't really care about your athletic success winning tournaments in the summer. Like
Right.
that doesn't, I don't think that matters to them at all. Um, yeah, I don't
Yeah,
think it's a big deal.
I get that. You say they care about you as a person and you, especially in school. Can you speak on character? Because of all the guys I've trained, I'd like to say there's a top, call it 1 to 5% of guys that are really good at certain things. And when it came to just character and how you carried yourself, you were always that top 1%. And that's obviously college coaches saw that, pro scouts saw that. That's obviously why you are where you are. Speak on that a little bit. Like, what do you mean by character? What do you mean by obviously school means good grades, but what do you mean by character?
Yeah, I was really fortunate. My dad taught me he- to be successful. It's kind of you need to be a high character person. What in the simplest terms, it's kind of like you can't don't show your hand. Like that means failure, failure on the field. It's just another day for you. It's not you're not throwing a fit. You're not, barking at the umpire for bad calls. It's like everybody's got the same umpire, so I mean, you just got to figure out a way to deal with it. I'm trust me, I'm still working on this as I keep climbing the ranks and dealing with more failure. So it's easier said than done, but I'd say character-wise, schools are looking for guys that are kind of, head down, get the work, do the job done, hard nosed player, but also not, like a stupid guy off the field where it's like he's going to get himself in trouble. He's hanging with the wrong people. It's just kind of center yourself to where what's going to set up myself for the most success, and that means playing the game the right way, and that could mean a whole lot of different things. But just kind of doing what you're good at on the field and sticking to that, and then off the field, it's being a good person and really setting an example for your teammates and almost getting into kind of more leadership things on the field, but
Mhm.
they want to know what kind of person you are off the field. Obviously, emotions that happens. It's normal on the baseball field, but
Right.
being a good person off the field where it's you're a nice, genuine person and you care for, not only yourself, but you have goals. They want goals. They want to know where you think you can be and they want you to try to see like, hey, I know I can do this. I just gotta be like in the right program to achieve it. So I think character wise, it's more of not like the selfish guy where he's um I don't think any team wants a selfish guy to where it's like the me show and watch me or like who wants the spotlight. I think every program wants that guy who's the collectively nine guys that are on the field that it's like we're trying to win. So we're not gonna, look at this guy, we have this guy, but it's like that doesn't win you games. So they want
Right.
everyone that's kind of all in together into winning because that's what college baseball is about. You need to win.
Right.
It's not about stats. Uh,
Right.
so, um, character as in who's going to be the best teammate and who's going to mesh well with other teams or other teammates and, pick that guy up instead of, he just struck out. Like, I don't care. Like, go pick him up. Like, it's kind of just like being a good teammate. That's really
Yeah.
kind of what it is. And also like caring about other stuff other than
Yeah.
baseball.
Yeah. So it's almost common sense, right? But when you look at it from an outside looking in, there's a lot of guys that just don't understand it. They think everything's about them, about stats. And yeah, being a good teammate goes farther than anything. Um, and college coaches will see it. I remember specifically being in dugouts and seeing the way people react, and college coaches seeing that, and they won't watch the play, they'll watch how you enter the dugout and how you talk to your teammates and how you present yourself to your coaches and things like that. So that's huge. You mentioned adversity. Now, when you went to Michigan State, obviously going from Maranatha High School to Michigan State, like that's pretty far on the spectrum of how far you could go, athletically speaking. You had a, let's call it just average first 2 years, right? Like nothing really like numbers didn't really jump out. But then all of a sudden, your junior season, I remember seeing stats and looking at it, and I was like, there's no way these stats are real. Like you were just jumping off the charts like crazy. What changed? Like, what did you, let's say physically and mentally, like, did you change something with the swing? Was it the approach? Is it the mental side? Like, what changed for you?
I think it was a combination of all three. And also I kind of put a clock on myself to where I was after sophomore year, I was like, okay, I've just had pretty two average college years. I mean, I played, I'd say over 50% of the games my freshman year, which to be honest with you, I didn't think freshman year, I thought freshman year Power Five conference. I was like, I mean, you got to be a
Yeah.
dude. You got to be a dude to play, like be every day as a freshman. Like you're a
Hmm.
dude. Um, so I think going into junior year, it was like, all right, if I really want to do this professionally, I got to change. It's something's got to change. And I started, I mean, I was always pretty good in the weight room, like lifts, I would always do them. But like junior year, it was like, let's get a little more emphasis into it and like really dial in and communicate with my strength coaches. Like, this is what I want to see on the field, and what do you think is going to be, the best workout for me going into the fall of my junior year. So
Right.
it was a combination of, getting in the weight room a little more, getting a little heavier, uh, and more importantly, not heavy and it's not slow heavy lifts. It was
Yeah.
fast. It was moving weight as fast as I could, getting more explosive. And um, that's on like the lifting side. Mechanically, I owe a majority of my success to Adam Eaton. I was very fortunate to have him. I mean, he's a 10-year big leaguer and
Yeah.
just retired. He's I mean, World Series champ. So he was our director of player development, and I probably yapped that guy's ear off. He was probably very annoyed with me at the end of junior year after I was just picking his brain. I wanted to learn, and I owe a lot of majority of my success to Adam Eaton, and he really got into it with me, and he's like, "All right, you can do this. We're just going to clean some stuff up." And a lot of the things for me in college, my freshman sophomore year was I got to hit homers. And
Hmm.
junior year, I put a lot less pressure on myself to hit homers, and I hit more homers.
Right.
So like just being kind of mechanically fixing some stuff and just kind of being to where it's like, hey, let's just see the ball hit the guy hard. Like just let's hit the ball hard today. And a lot of that time it worked out. It was like slowing the game down really helped me junior year. I didn't really figure it out what slowing the game down meant until I got to my junior year. And also kind of dumbing the game down for myself. It's like realizing like freshman year, I was like, these guys are like 3, 4 years older than me. I don't know what's really going on. I'm a long way from home. And then junior
Yeah.
year, I was like, it's just baseball. I mean, I've been playing the same sport since I was 5 years old.
Yep.
Um, but mentally, that's the other half of my success was we had a mental sports performance mental coach. Her name is Molly McQueary, and that's the other half of my success. I got into with her into the fall. She worked with the baseball team and other sports. She came from the Guardians, and
Wow.
I would meet with her once a week, and it was only mental side and kind of what is. I'm very hard on myself as a player, and I still
Right.
am to this day. I mean, I'm never gonna get rid of that. It's just kind of the way. I'm pretty sure I get that from my dad, being he was a college football guy, so he's just beat him up all day
Hmm.
long. Um, I'm very hard on myself, and I was talking with her, and a lot of the stuff was that I was talking to her about was stuff I can't control. So
Right.
I'm realizing that there's a lot of stuff you can and can't control, and a lot of that's attitude. And can I control, you know, what my attitude towards whatever I'm doing? And yeah, you can. So also like outcomes, can't control outcomes.
Right.
Outcomes, it's learning, it's growth. And um, I owe it to her. She really helped me. I still communicate with her often and trying to get kind of the best. And also, what is mental side of baseball is, an unproductive and a productive thought. So, unproductive is that this guy's throwing hard, like I got to do this to make sure I'm hitting the baseball. It's like that's unproductive. I mean, if you're thinking, my dad always told me if you're thinking, you're stinking. So, it's being able to just say, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do it well. I'm going to commit to something and see how it plays out. And if it plays out bad, all right, so what? Like I'm gonna probably have another bet this game. So just being able to like slow my brain down and realizing like this is normal for everybody. Everyone's playing at the same time right now on the field. Like we're just playing baseball. This is not a bigger situation than it needs to be. And kind of that really took a lot of stress off me and kind of allowed me to play free and easy and actually smile. I don't think I smiled a lot my sophomore year, especially in
Yeah.
college on the field. So junior year, I was like, I'm gonna have fun and but also being competitive with it, where it's like if I want to get drafted, junior year is probably my best bet. So
Right.
what do I have to lose? I mean, I hit 250 my sophomore, I think below 250 my sophomore year of college. So
Yeah.
like, I mean, I got nothing to lose. What is everyone gonna say if I hit 270 my junior year? Okay, he did a little bit better. So
Yeah.
just being able to play free and easy, I think that was the biggest thing in college. And then the mental side of it, it's huge. I don't think it's something that people just need to people overlook a lot is the mental side of the game. It's very
Yeah.
important. You got to realize who you are inside yourself before you can actually, get to the whole talent and mechanical side of baseball.
Yeah. I think that's huge. And you touched on a few points, and I want to dig into a few of them. The easy stuff is asking questions, right? Talking to your strength coach, talking to your hitting coach. Like that is stuff to where you can ask 99% of people and they say, you ask them, hey, how do I get better as a hitter? How do I get stronger? How do I hit farther? You say, well, it's obviously strength and a hitting coach, right? How do I become better at the game? How do I get over these situations? How do I get out of, say, the yips? A lot of people get that. Mental coaching is something that's pretty new, and the mental side of the game is something that's pretty new overall in general. It wasn't really talked about, especially as I was growing up, probably not as much as when you were growing up either. But growing up, the mental side of baseball was, oh, you'll get them next time, slugger. Like, go up and, forget, have a short memory is what I was always told. You got to have a short memory as a pitcher. And,
Mhm.
I remember giving up a 400-foot bomb to a top prospect. And it's like, well, that just now my whole day is ruined. Right. And that kind of stuff just it sticks with you. And as a kid, our brains are still developing. As a kid, I mean high school, our brains are still developing to the point where like that's hard to get over. And if you don't have an outlet to be able to speak with someone on that and like how to get through that, that's something that's going to stick with you for a long time, especially not only one game, but a bad season, two bad seasons. That starts eating at you. So I want to talk a little bit more about the mental coaching and the mental side of things. A lot of kids nowadays, and we talked about it at the beginning, with the whole travel ball tournaments, you got to look good on social media. A lot of it's the parents. And you spoke on Todd, and I'm glad because guy's a stud and he raised you right. But a lot of kids put pressure on themselves from directly their parents. So instead of talking to the kids for a second, what would you have to say to the parents out there that are paying thousands of dollars for these kids to be in these tournaments that is going to get them a ring but not really get them anywhere, or putting pressure on them to make it to the next level or whatever? What would you have to say to those parents on the mental side for their kids?
Um, I would say it's especially pre-high school, it's not it's not that serious. I mean, in reality, if you're in the sixth to eighth grade and I mean, there's a lot of pressure on your kid to, do well and get recruited. I mean, there's probably maybe a handful of guys that are getting offered their eighth grade year, and a lot of the times I mean, those are like your superstars. So it's
Right.
like there's no, I think a lot of the thing that's big on like parenting is like all their parents want to get their kids in school and they want to get their kids to a really good school, especially if they
Right.
want to play college sports. I would say it's a process. It's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen in this tournament when you're, a freshman in high school. It could, but more than likely, it's probably going to be towards your sophomore, junior year of high school, even senior year of high school. I would just say, just it, give your kid time to kind of figure it out. And obviously, like I was a really late bloomer. I want to call myself a really late bloomer. I didn't really figure out kind of playing baseball at a really good level until I was, junior and senior in high school. And that was kind of me growing into my body and figuring like my dad was like, I mean, I have video of me swinging a baseball bat when I was a freshman, sophomore year in high school. And I was like, dude, I don't know how you hit baseballs. And I was like, I don't know either. So I would just give your kid like, it'll come. Just let it grow and, let him working on it, keep getting better. But the biggest thing is that, especially with these, travel ball tournaments, is like you don't have to be on the best team. And I think I really want to make that clear. It's because it doesn't matter if you win at all.
Mhm.
Like you just have to be at the tournament. And I think, but this is when also like another thing is too, is like people just expect college coaches to just show up to games. It's like you're just
Right.
gonna run into them. It's like you got to get on the emails and hey, I think one of my club team taught us really well early on was start emailing schools. Like
Right.
this is my tournament schedule this summer. I hope to see you out there. And that's when you kind of get your foot in the door and talking to people, getting on people's radars. And like I remember I was at a tournament in Arizona and I was talking to a college coach and I was like, this is my tournament schedule. I'll be here in Arizona. He's like, great. He's like, great. I'm planning on coming out there this weekend. He's like, thanks for your schedule. Hopefully I can catch a game. That's all you can ask for. I mean,
Yeah. That's huge.
you can't ask for Vandy to be in the stands and like you're just going to run into a Vandy coach or
Yeah.
one of these top schools. It's like you got to be proactive and kind of put yourself out there and say, "Hey, I'm out here. I'm going to this tournament. I'm probably betting that you're going to be there too." So, I think being proactive with the emails is big. But going back to the parenting side is like it's not going to happen overnight. It might not happen in a year, 2 years, 3 years. Like it's going to take time for your kid to kind of figure out growing into baseball and like figuring out what works and what doesn't. But winning a summer smash tournament in the middle of August is not going to solve your dreams of getting recruited. Like
Yeah.
winning doesn't you want to win, but in reality, winning doesn't really matter. It's just getting your foot in the door.
Yeah. I remember being in high school and I didn't really have I went to a pretty small public high school when it comes to like recruiting and baseball knowledge. Like we didn't really have a lot of connections. And I remember pulling the Josh Allen of emailing 1,000 schools and just sending them statistics, videos, everything I could. And obviously, I'm not in the pros. I'm not Josh Allen, but I did what I had to do. And for every probably 100 emails I sent, I might get one back. And that did give me a lot of opportunities later in the day when it came to college. But without me sending those emails directly, like, yeah, I played in tournaments. I played for a scout team. I played for multiple teams that went to multiple tournaments. I never got recruited from those. I got recruited from sending those emails and then having coaches come out to those tournaments. So I think that's a huge part of it is like, yes, if you are that one in a million guy, they will come find you. But
Mhm.
at the end of the day, if you're not when Brock was a sophomore in high school, no one's coming to look at Brock when he's a sophomore in high school. You know, if you send those emails going into your junior year, now Brock's kind of grown into his body, fixed his swing a little bit. He can get under his feet a little bit better. Okay, now we're good. But it took that email to get you there, right? So I want to talk about something else too, because I remember you going from your sophomore to your junior season. Um, it's interesting because, yeah, grew like a weed. You were super tall and lanky. You couldn't really figure it out. When it comes to the strength and conditioning, which you mentioned earlier, and obviously that's my thing is strength and conditioning. For you, what's been the main difference? I'd say the number one difference going from high school to college strength, and then from college to the pro strength. What's the main difference?
I think high school strength, I mean, when we work out, it was pretty, I would say it was actually pretty hard just because everything was like new. So it
Mhm.
wasn't your standard squat, bench press, deadlift. It was stability and like everything was single leg and core activated and rotational kind of stuff. So that was pretty new to me. I mean, my dad works, once again, I'm going back to my dad, but
Mhm.
um he's on the point now where he never lifts, he hasn't lifted like real weights in forever. It's all
Mhm.
sandbags, water bags, bands. So like I had a general understanding, but I think in high school it's more about getting obviously getting your form dialed. That's
Right.
if I mean if you're lifting with bad form, it's just going to lead to injury and lead to just obviously you're not going to get stronger.
Right.
Um, but understanding kind of the main lifts, and this is how you lift, and this is kind of, how you do it safely and smartly, but also trying to get stronger at the same point. Obviously, you're not going to like walk into a weight room and bench 225 for 10. Like it's not like that shouldn't be your goal. It should be getting baseball strong, obviously, or any sport you're playing, it's for your sport. It's not for, I would say, don't lift like a bodybuilder. Like,
Right.
I don't think that's a very smart way to do it. And I think you're just, baseball is it's a high mobile sport. You need mobility, you need, you need rotation, you need explosive strength. So going in from high school, that you laid the foundation, at least for me, of
Mhm.
what is this kind of movement and how does this correlate into baseball? And then so I had an idea. And then going into college, college weights are, I think that's a lot, it's a lot more mental than it is actually weightlifting. Because you're doing the same lifts that
Mhm.
you did in high school, but for some reason they're way harder for like
Yeah.
it's the same stuff, but it's either early morning or just, but it's also progression. So it's like, hey, we're gonna keep going up in weight. Like we want to see you fail, and then we're gonna dial it back and say, hey, let's
Right.
go back down this way. But it's also not like we need you to max your squat out. Like it's not. It's more of like, let's get up to there where you're still moving it fast, but safely and not with really bad form.
Mhm.
Um, and then going in the pros, it's more, at least in the minors, it's the same stuff as probably college, I would say, but it's also maintaining strength. It's not kind of uh gaining strength during the season. I mean, we play for
Right.
6 to 7 months out of the year, so
Right. Long
um,
season.
maintaining your strength and staying healthy rather than ego lifting and getting under the bar in the middle of the season.
Right.
But generally speaking, I think it's around the same lifts. I mean, you're gonna do some other stuff that obviously your minor league coach knows more than your college coach. It's a
Right.
little some stuff is different, but I would say generally it's the same thing. Like today we deadlifted some sort of row and there was some sort of press motion. So
Sure.
um pretty basic stuff, but I think it's more of now it's how fast can you move the weights
Right.
rather than how heavy can you load up the bar and just do 3 reps. It's more of
Right.
like give me 10 at the weight that you can do 10 reps fast at. Like I want you to move the weight. It's just explosive strength rather than like I'm gonna put 405 on the squat bar and I'm gonna squat 405 for 3 reps, but it's like what does that really do for you? So
Yeah.
I think it's just a different attitude towards lifting.
Yeah. I like that. You mentioned in-season weightlifting. Now, I could I can say it over and over and over again because I understand it and I know it. A lot of people out there think oh, if I'm in season, I'm not going to lift weights because I don't want to get hurt or I don't want to be too tired. I don't want to be sore for a game. When you're in season, what does your lifting schedule look like? Obviously, it's lighter. We're not trying to progressive overload in the off season or in the in
Mm.
season. We're not stupid, right? We don't want to, yes, we don't want to do anything crazy, but you're still lifting in the in season. You just spent 6, 7 months of the off season building up all this strength. You don't want to lose it in season. So, what does a lifting schedule slash workout look like for you in season?
During the season, it's kind of the same amount of stuff. It's a little though there's not as many exercises. It's kind of a get in and get out kind of thing. But I mean, we probably have like 6 to 8 exercises that we do, but I mean, we'll still get under, well, I mean, we'll still squat and we'll still do just pure a lot of dumbbell work, but
Sure.
um it's not as I mean, we with some of us like still I figured out what worked for me in college. This is what forgot to mention. In college, what clicked with me junior year was during the season, I still like I got after it in the weight room in
Hmm.
season. Like I wasn't slacking off to where it's like I don't want to be that sore. Like I always feel better playing on the days that I lift.
Right.
Um, so when I got to pro ball, I just kept the same mindset of I'm not going as heavy as I would now in spring training, but I still want to get something out of it. I still want to be a little sore. But I'm just not doing as much weight. I'm just trying to move weight either if it's something that like a hip thrust or it's a squat or it's uh like anything like that you got to move it fast. I
Sure.
want to move it as fast as possible still. Anything that's like a press, I want to move it as controlled as possible, not like just, like repping out bench press like that. Like, no, I want to be able to feel like my pecs actually are,
Engaging.
working. And
Yeah.
so, it's kind of for me, it's kind of the same. It's just it's less weight, but I'm still trying to move, like, I'm still trying to get, obviously, what's the word I'm looking for? Explosion. I'm still trying to get rotational and explosive as possible and still moving
Yeah.
weight fast instead of kind of taking it light and making sure that like I feel good for that day. It's like some days you're going to be a little sore. So
Yeah.
it's all right. Your body's still going
Yeah.
to move.
Yeah. You're still going to get it done. Now, how many days a week would you say you work out in season right now?
We some days depending we would have either we would have like a deload week where it was like extremely light and that was 3 times a week. But usually it's around 4 times a week.
So 3, 4 times a week in season, you're still lifting weights.
Correct. Yeah.
Magic. I'm gonna clip that exact piece right there, and I'm gonna send it to every single baseball parent of all time and let them know it is okay to lift in season directly from you. Um, Last question, and I ask this to everybody because I think it's one of the biggest misses that's out there because the whole reason behind this podcast is to be able to share with the next generation the things that we didn't have growing up. Like you didn't have that direct correlation to be able to ask these questions whatever you wanted to a guy that's in the big leagues, right? I didn't have this. Nobody really had this direct connection. So this is something that's super important for the next generation coming up. So if you could go back right now and you could talk to 13-year-old Brock, and Brock's about to enter into high school for the first time, and you
Uh,
had 30 seconds to give him any piece of advice that you'd want to give him, knowing all that you know now, what would be your 30-second advice to Brock?
um, 13-year-old Brock, that's a character right there. I would say I'd say get in the weight room, but do it the right way and not obviously ego lifting. I'd say get as strong as possible. Um, and just kind of be a kid. Like don't put too much pressure on yourself to try to get somewhere when you're obviously, 13 years old. So that just grow, enjoy learning, like learn as much as possible. And that's not just for whatever sport you're doing. I'd also say continue to keep playing other sports. It's going to help you in the long run. Um, and just find I biggest thing for me, I would tell myself, find what you like and run with it. Don't try to, fit in with a crowd that you don't like. Just do what you like, stick with it, run with it. Who cares what people think? And also just, put your nose down and get to work. It's not like don't try to satisfy other people. Do what you want to do, and obviously it's going to take care for yourself, but also be patient with yourself.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen overnight. So be patient, grow, learn, and uh get close with some trainers and some hitting coaches. But I was
Yeah.
very fortunate to kind of run into those along the way. But
Yeah.
explore your options and learn as much as possible and be patient with yourself.
I love that. Um, if you could go back and tell 13-year-old Brock that you're going to get drafted, what would 13-year-old Brock say?
Honestly, I think I would be a little cocky little kid and be like, well, duh. Like obviously. I mean,
Oh man.
I grew up, I've always told myself that like I don't want a job. I don't want to
Yeah.
I don't want to sit at a desk. Like I love the game. That's
Hmm.
why. I think when I'm out of the game, I'm still gonna be in with it when I'm done playing,
Somehow.
I'll be around baseball. I don't know. I think 13-year-old Brock could be like, yeah, obviously. I mean, he's like, first round, first overall pick.
A little punk.
Yeah, something stupid.
Yeah.
Uh, but I also kind of just like really like it's just kind of weird, like thinking about your 13-year-old self and like where you wanted
Yeah.
to go to school, like um play college. So I think he'd be pretty pumped up about that.
Love that. Well, you did everything the right way, and it was fun to help you along that journey and watch you grow and watch you continue. And hopefully, I'll get to watch you play baseball for the next 20 years of your career. But whenever that career does come to an end, there's always a job here with Never Settle Athletics, and
Oh,
you can do whatever you need to with us.
perfect.
Love it, man. Well, thank you so much for coming out. I appreciate it. Good luck in the spring. Good luck with this season. We'll be in touch.
Thank you.